In this presentation, we're going to take a look at bank rules. We're going to have a situation where we have multiple different deposits and we want those deposits from the same customer to be going to different accounts within our income statement. How can we use rules in order to do so? Let's get into it with Intuit's QuickBooks Online. Here we are in our Get Great Guitars file. We're going to start off by opening up a report, that being the income statement report. So we're going to go to the reports down below. We're going to be opening up the profit and loss, the income statement, the P&L. I'm going to change the dates up top for, let's make it 05/01/20 to, let's make it 06/30/20. That's going to be the period of the transactions that we have. Run that report. Not too much going on at this point in time. We're going to be dealing with deposits, which will be entering data into the income section. So I'm going to right click on the tab up top. We're going to duplicate that tab up top. Then we're going to go back to the tab to the left, and we're going to go back to those bank feeds. So we uploaded the other bank feeds, or the more bank feeds that we uploaded, and here they are. And we're going to be considering some different. We're going to be focusing in on bank rules at this point in time. So we're looking at the bank rules, which are on the second tab. You can find those rules. So we want to look at our data and then consider when we might want to set up a rule. Now remember, QuickBooks will kind of help us out and set up basically rules to set these up. Like for example, here it's found something and it says, I'm going to help you out to record this. I'll help you to match this out and those items to match these items out. So that's useful. QuickBooks can help us out with those types of things. It's got 6 recognized transactions here that it can basically help us out with, and those are in essence a kind of rule, a kind of memorization of the system to help us with the data input. However, sometimes those rules they're too general, and we might need more detailed rules. So this time we're going to think about a situation where we might have some more detailed rules that we can set up on our own. Remember, when you do this, you do want to have the cog here and show the bank detail. You want to show the bank detail because that detailed information, sometimes the numbers, or sometimes some numbers indicate different locations of different institutions or different stores, and those things can help you out to differentiate with the rule setting. So you want those on, and anytime you find yourself putting data input into the system, and then you say, well, this one, like for example, let's look at our example here. We have the Amazon. If we look at Amazon, I say, well, this one, Amazon Media EU, I would like to go to a separate income account reflecting it's from EU, right? As opposed to this one, Amazon.com, which maybe reflects just general Amazon that, that I would like to put somewhere else. So in that case, the vendor that you would think here would just, or the customer you would think, because these are received payments. So we're imagining we're doing something for Amazon. Possibly we're doing some affiliate marketing. Possibly we're doing, we're selling other things on Amazon. Maybe Amazon Prime, we're selling things on Amazon Prime. Or there's multiple different types of income you can have. And then when Amazon sells those items, I mean, you could have book sales on Amazon Prime, Kindle sales on Amazon Prime, affiliate marketing, which could sell in different regions on Amazon. All right. If you're doing that kind of information, you're going to have all these deposits coming from Amazon. And you don't really want to sort just by vendor because that's not enough detail. In that situation, you might want to set up actually different accounts and say, hey, this is for my audiobooks. These are selling in this region versus that region and whatnot. And so how could I differentiate that? Because if I was to let the system just choose who the customer is, it would simply be Amazon. And then every time I go into this feed, I got to say, well, I want this one going to one different income account and this one going to a different one. And I'd have to set that up each time. If I could set up a rule, if I could recognize these two things as something different, I can set up a rule within the system so the system can pick them up and recognize them in a similar fashion as they're doing up here. So you can do that in a couple different ways. You can enter the transaction and enter the rule as you go, or you could go to the rules settings here. So I can say, all right, let's go to the rules setting, and here's the rules that we currently have in here. Now, the rules that we have, notice, aren't ones that I want to keep most of them, right? Leave Office Depot money out. Uncategorized. There's something going to uncategorized. So these aren't things that I really want in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the whole thing or batch all of them. And I'm going to go to the batch and I'm going to delete the rules that are currently there. And I'm going to say yes. And then we're going to start up with our own rule. So we're going to add our own rule now. So I'm going to go up top to a new rule. So I want to set up a new rule and I'm going to call this the Amazon Amazon Media EU rule. And we're going to say this is going to be for money in. So you have to say whether you're getting it's a deposit or money going out. So this is for money in because it's coming from a customer. So most of your rules will probably be for money out a lot of times. But if you do things for like Amazon, affiliate marketing and what like that, you may want those to different accounts. And then you may be dealing a lot with the money coming in. Let's just now review these data input screens when a transaction meets all of these conditions. So you want to have multiple different conditions here. It's got to meet all the conditions, or you can say any condition. And then you have your list of conditions down below. So the list of conditions, it's going to be the bank text. Now, you could have a difference between the bank text and the description. So remember when we looked at that checkbox, we might have a difference between the bank text and the description there. If you set up a rule and it does not work, then try switching between these items to see if it then picks up the rule, because go between bank text and then description. And then we have either contains, doesn't contain, or is exactly. So either it's included in the text, it has it somewhere in it, but it could have other text. It does not include this within the text, or it is exactly what is here. The text must be exact for it. And then we're going to have our information up top. Then we have the transaction type. Because it's money coming in, we have the deposit or a transfer. So we're going to say it's going to be a deposit here. And then the payee is in essence going to be the vendor, right? These are all vendors or the customers, the payee. And then we have the category, which is basically going to be the account that we'll be choosing. Then we have the memo down below. And then the default setting for the rule is to auto categorize and manually review, which means it makes it a different color, and you still have to go in there and accept it. You can, however, set it to auto-categorize and auto-add. You want to be very careful with that, however, because if you choose this rule, then the rule's just going to take effect, and it's going to go right from the bank into your GL, right into your bookkeeping system, without you actually looking at it. And so that's fine for some transactions that are really straightforward. But a lot of times you still want to go through that kind of review process. Could be useful to do, and at least look them over. They're all green, they all look good, and then I'll add them to the system. But for those transactions that happen and you just know they're just going to be the same each time, you can go right to the bank, right into your books without going through the review process. Okay, so then we're going to go back up top for this rule. We're going to say the rule is going to be called Amazon Media EU. I often just pull the name from the bank rules, right? The same name as basically the vendor is going to be. It's going to be for money going in. It's going to be a text. It's going to be containing, meaning it's not going to be exact text in there, but it's going to contain this text. And the text we want in there is the same thing, basically. So notice I often have the rule will be the same name as the condition. And I'll often set up a vendor, which is going to be separate. Notice I kind of want to match the vendor. I want a separate vendor, even though it's still Amazon. I'd like the vendor to be set up separate because it's easier to match a separate vendor oftentimes to the category. So I'm going to say this is Amazon, but I'm going to set up a different vendor for it, and tab, and it's going to say set that up. And I'm sorry, I keep saying vendor. It's a customer. Most of the times when you set up a rule, a lot of times it'll be vendors, but we're setting up a customer because this is money coming in. And I'm going to say save. And then the category is going to be the same thing. I want to set up another income account. So I'm just going to paste the same thing here again and tab, and I'm going to set it up as an income type of account. And the description, I'm just going to call it other primary income, Amazon Media, and that's where I'm going to keep it. And then I'm going to say save and close. Now, if you set this up, notice you might want to have an Amazon, parent category, and then your subcategories here listing off the different types of Amazons. If this is something that you are planning on doing. Because if you break out your income in this way, then you're going to have a lot of different accounts on your income statement related to income, and you might want to do some subcategorization for that. So I'm going to say save and close. So there we have that. I'm not going to put anything in the memo, and I'm going to keep it on the default, so I have to look at it before I basically say, before I approve the rule and have it actually go into my books. So then I'm going to say save. And there is our rule. If we go back to the banking tab, then let's see what happens back in the banking tab. So now it's applying these out. So now it's applying that rule out, and that looks good. It didn't apply the rule, however, like it would have if I just put in Amazon directly. It would have applied it to all Amazon, everything that has Amazon in it. So now I want to apply the second rule to these items. So on these items down here, I'm going to make them, go to a different income account. So let's do that. I'm going to go back to, well, let's try to do it from this section here now. I'm going to go into this item. I'm just going to click on it. And then from this section, I'm going to create rule from this transaction. So I'm going to create a rule from this transaction, and I'm going to call it up top, Amazon.co. I'm going to copy that. It's going to be money coming in again because this is a deposit. And then it already tried to make the rule for us because we created the rule from this transaction. Notice it set up two items here. It first had the description that contains Amazon.co. Now, I probably don't need as much detail as that. I probably don't need all of this stuff, and it probably would be enough just to pick up that. So I'm going to keep it at that. And then I don't need it just to be the amount of 500. So that second condition, I don't need there. That's too much restriction. That would only be if it was going to Amazon.company and for that exact dollar amount. Therefore, I'm just simply going to delete the second component of the rule. And then I'm going to go down and say that we have the deposit. That looks good. The payee, notice I put the payee as Amazon. No, I want to make it the payee Amazon.co. Why? Because I want to put that more descriptive vendor to a new category that we're going to have. So I'm going to say save. It's going to be a new customer. I keep saying vendor, but it's a customer because this is a deposit. And then I'm going to go down and I'm going to make it lowercase instead of the capitals in our chart of accounts. And then tab, I'm going to set up a new income account. So there's our income account. And this description, I'm just going to make it other primary income. That looks good. We're going to save that. And then again, I'll make it recognize it so I have to approve it before it goes into the books. So I'm going to say save. And then we go back over, and now those two rules are being set up here. So there we have it. So now I'm going to approve those. I can approve them here, or I can go to the recognized items and approve them here, right? Either one. I'm going to go to the first one, and you could approve them. You could check off one, like you could say add here, add. Or if you want to group add them, you can check off the first one and then hold down Control or hold down Shift and check off the last one, and it'll check off all the ones in between. And there we have it. And then we can go to the batch actions up top. And I'm simply going to accept the selected items. So there we have that. Now let's go back to our P&L, profit and loss, just to see what the effect is. I'm going to refresh the screen. I'm going to use this little refresh button this time. And there we have it. I'm going to close up the hamburger. I'm going to scroll back up top. And so now we've got our information up top, right? Amazon Media EU. So we have that information. So maybe we're doing something on Amazon now with our guitar shop, and we're selling our media on Amazon, our guitar lessons possibly. And there's our 802 there being broken out, and we can see our Amazon.co, whatever that distinction is for Amazon. And obviously, if we knew exactly what, we could say this is media sales, possibly, Amazon Prime sales or something like that. And possibly this is just Amazon.company. Maybe this is our sales of our products like guitars or something like that we could break out. If we know that distinction, then maybe we want to break them out not by basically the vendor name, but by something like that, right? Amazon Prime EU sales, and then Amazon inventory sales, guitar sales or something like that. But you can see how we can use that rule to break them out. And then next month, when these same Amazon distinctions come in place, we don't have to manually go in and do it. It'll just pick that up. It'll make it green, and then we can approve it. And if we do that for a few months, or at least 2 months, I would do it. Then I can even set that rule to say, hey, I don't even want to check it anymore. You just take that and pull it right into my books every time.